Hey, what is going on, you guys? It's Epic here, and welcome back to another episode of Borderlands Breaking News. Guys, another week is here in Borderlands 4, and an 11GB patch has just gone live for the game on Steam. Let's get right into it today with all of the changes that this patch included, so if you're ready, leave a like on the video, sub to the channel, and let's get right into it. We start off this week with some changes to stability and performance. Gearbox note that they have addressed various instances of hitching, low FPS, and crashes. They mention that they're going to continue to investigate, and they will make further improvements to stability and performance. They also mentioned that they've updated some character animations for performance improvements. And they also mentioned that graphics presets could be set to high or very high when using Run Auto Detect in the visual menu. They mentioned that for Xbox, they've corrected an issue where players would get a black screen after the Vault symbol loading screen. And they also mentioned they have addressed rare issues of infinite loading screens during crossplay. And then lastly, for the performance updates, they mentioned they've improved the loading of characters in menus to reduce the delay when entering the character select, which is very, very nice. Moving on, let's talk about rewards and progression, and they mentioned that they have addressed an issue where players could lose or be rewarded with unintended extra skill points in multiplayer. For those of you that don't know, this was a big issue where some people were joining games and losing all of their skill points. That has now been fixed. They also mentioned that they've addressed an issue that could prevent contract targets from consistently spawning. This is very good because I know there is definitely one that's up in the fade fields that does not spawn, so very nice that that has been addressed. They've also updated stuff like challenges not properly tracking, DLC content appearing in chests even if you don't own it, and they've also said they've improved the clarity of DLC related warnings and reward availability. They've also mentioned that there was a bug where you could not properly go from UVH4 to UVH5 after completing the mission, and that has now been fixed. And they've also fixed class mods, saying that they've updated them to prevent them dropping with incorrect skill points. So it seems like there were maybe some class mods that were dropping with higher or lower rolls than intended, or just straight up rolling with skills that they should not be. Now into the Vault Hunter changes this week. First of all, let's start off with Harlow. Gearbox mentioned that for Harlow, the ground state capstone has been corrected to remove inaccurate verbiage about enemies taking reduced damage when they do not. That is a very, very big one. They've also made it so that the flux generator no longer heals enemies with the potential transference capstone. They've made it so that the accretion passive, I think I'm saying that right, consistently grants lifesteal to allies now. And they've also mentioned they addressed various reported issues with unstable energy pocket created from the Chroma Accelerator action skill. And they do go in more detail here, saying that this includes instances where it would not disappear properly, convert to cryo, or split as intended with certain combinations, so that has now been fixed. Next up, diving into Aimon, they say that Primal Surge has now been fixed to properly restore shield and ammo. I'm a little worried for this one because we don't know just yet what that's going to entail. Let's hope it's a good one and not a bad one in the fix department. They mentioned that Firewall action skill has been adjusted so Vengeance cannot be stored by Firewall before Scourge is active as intended. And they made sure that the Onslaught or Rocket Punch now connects more reliably with shielded enemies. That one's really nice. And then lastly, they've addressed an issue with Forge Knight's Forge Axes not seeking nearby enemies consistently. So there we go. At least we have some fixes on Aimon. Let's just hope they're the ones we want. Okay, next up with Vex, they've addressed a reported issue with her Grave Harvest augment where it could be triggered while Incarnate is not active. That's a pretty big fix there. They've addressed an issue where the Blight Attunement passive could occasionally fail to damage the Timekeeper in particular. That's a very specific fix, but still nice regardless. And lastly, it says damage caused by Sirens Spirit Bomb now counts properly as companion damage and changes its color to match the attuned element. So very nice there. That's all for Vex. Now for Rafa, we only have one change here where they say that they've addressed a reported issue preventing the Exo Soldier blowout passive from stacking properly when repeating action skills. So very nice, but only one fix on Rafa this week. Now for gameplay adjustments, I'm not going to go through these because it's nothing too crazy, but they are on screen if you want to read them. Just overall, more great changes, but nothing that's going to blow your mind, so we're going to skip over those. Now into gear we have some very big changes to go through. Let's dive into these. First of all, some fixes. The Vladov Atling gun legendary now properly targets the Primordial Guardian Inceptus, whereas before it clearly was not. They mentioned that the Queen's Rest pistol with dataless ammo switcher licensed underbarrel will now shoot the correct projectiles. They mentioned that gear with the short circuit augment now traces properly towards enemies instead of random directions. And lastly, edge cases where interrupting the reload would cause ammo desync that would prevent ammo from firing. That is a very nice one. And into the big changes here, first of all, let's talk about this. The HELLWALKER now spawns in Fire Element. This has been something that people really wanted, and seemingly they have listened. I have my own thoughts on this, which we'll make a separate video on, but the HELLWALKER is now a Fire Element shotgun like it was in BL3. TDR weapons now have plus 10% more damage and magazine size. The Order Lucky Clover Legendary, the rocket reload will have increased fire rate, or at least the overall pistol. Their wordings are a little confusing here. And finally, the Order Legendary Sniper, known as the Fisheye, has had its damage increased. Moving on, let's talk about UI. We're not going to go through all of this, but the biggest one is they mentioned they've updated various UI visuals for alignment, consistency, and clarity. Very nice. They've updated gear thumbnails being missing when they are not supposed to be, so hopefully now we shouldn't have any disappearing icons in the bank, for example. And the last one I'm going to talk about is improvements to the compass, custom waypoint placement, and echolocation. And the last thing I'm going to go over for today's patch notes is the visuals. They've addressed carryable objects disappearing or appearing in the wrong location after being picked up, which is very nice. They've improved the triggering of the armor segment break visual effect when the shield capacity effects expire. They've also addressed VFX concerns with various weapons, vehicles, and elemental states. That is a very nice one. That sounds like they're making improvements to visual pollution. That is a very nice change there. They've adjusted the Rift Portal effect to have the corrected visuals. They've updated Echo 4 to have correct positioning when viewing various menus and to prevent clipping. And they mentioned that ambient critters have a more natural spawn behavior. So, just an all-around very nice patch today. There is a ton of great changes in here. No nerfs in this patch. Just a great patch overall by Gearbox here, so hats off to them. Guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this episode of Borderlands Breaking News. If you liked it, leave a like on it and stay tuned for our next video, which will be going up, which will go over the location of the Maurice's Black Market vending machine. And guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of Borderlands Breaking News. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I did forget to mention about the console FOV slider. My apologies for that. But yes, that is also in this patch. Just fantastic work overall from Gearbox here. And I cannot wait to jump in and check out all of these changes. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like on it, sub to the channel. And guys, I will check you all in the next one.